So how is it possible for 4 simple questions to turn around a life, to bring someone like me who is suffering a great deal on all kinds of levels to a place I call unconditional prosperity? What do I mean when I say that? For me, it's the sense that there is enough, there always was enough, and there always will be enough. That we don't place conditions on life. We don't get to decide what's best for us, what's really in the highest good for others, what's going to work, what's not going to work, even what's a good outcome. I always say my clients know that there's no such thing as a good or a bad outcome. So this sense of no matter what, unconditional thriving came out of 4 questions and the ability to turn around the thinking that was making me believe there was anything less than thriving. Now I put my focus purposely on whatever I'm placing outside this, well, I call it the sphere of lovableness. We have this thing, okay, oh, well, that's not lovable over there. That's not fair. That's bad for me. That is not what I need right now. There's that toxic person. Whatever you did that you now regret, whether it's the judgment and blame of others or the judgment of ourselves and shame and regret and self-doubt, all of it, anything that creates that emotional charge in you that makes you want things to be different than they are, yes, that can become a really good motivator. But in those moments when we're actually fighting against life, it's really helpful to isolate the thinking that we're believing in that moment. For example, I just have to say how differently I'm realizing things are going right now as I've been moving for quite some time, 2-3 years now, in the direction of trying to I've refused to replace my old dilapidated roofs because I wanted to change the whole shape of the roof. I wanted to put a second story on that part of the house. I wanted to change a lot about the whole layout and the way this house works. As much as I live in this beautiful waterfront spot that I was able to hold on to despite the fact that I had so much angst around it, I'm now moving in a direction with many stumbling blocks, far more unknowns, lots of no's over time. I share sometimes the process with my groups and my mastermind, and yet I'm just trusting the process, putting one foot in front of the other, and I believe it's going to happen, and if it doesn't, I'm trusting that too. I'm almost ready to close on a refinance, and the last one actually fell through. And it's just that kind of thing where I won't know. It ain't over till it's over, and if it falls through again, I'm going to trust that too. And that there might be, or I know there will be, the exact right thing, the something better for whatever is supposed to happen is what is happening. So how did I get to that place of unconditional prosperity and thriving and being able to go through this protracted process without anxiety, really, just kind of plugging away at it and curious what's going to show up next? The movie of my life is through these 4 questions. So to find the idea, I used to be a very should have person. I was also a should person, but even more of a should have, beating myself up. And from that, I've developed something called the wheel of self-love. And when I put that together with the work, that's the no matter what way. And right now, though, if I were to say, this refinance should be happening faster, this remodel should have happened 2 years ago, these roofs shouldn't be so worn out. They shouldn't be leaking. They shouldn't, whatever the word is. So if you have something in your life, let's go with that. He shouldn't be yelling at me. So let's do that. Is it true he shouldn't be yelling at you? So that's question 1. So just a yes or a no. And then question 2, can you absolutely know that in this moment he shouldn't be yelling at you? And notice how your mind says he shouldn't be yelling at you, but he is yelling at you. Can you absolutely know he shouldn't be? So just sit with that again, a yes or a no, whatever you're working with right now. And then question 3 is, how do I react? What happens when I believe that thought, he shouldn't be yelling at me, even as he is? How do I feel? How do I react back to him? What do I say? What do I do? Whose businesses am I in? What am I afraid would happen if I were able to actually drop that thought? Like, what's keeping that thought in place? Do I think without that thought that he shouldn't be yelling at me, that he would just never stop yelling, or that I would be weak or rolling over? And yet what I can see is that thought is creating a lot of pain for me. Of course, we all think the pain comes from that person yelling at us, but when we do, question 4 is when something radical happens, where you say, who would I be without that thought? In this exact same situation, wow, I would see him over there yelling at me. I would see a person who's believing something really painful, believing that I'm the enemy, feeling really upset and emotionally charged and trying to convince me of something. I would feel a lot of compassion. I wouldn't necessarily take it personally. I might really hear what he has to say. I might listen and see where he's right about me, which puts us on the same page. And that does not mean you need to stay in the presence of abuse either. If it works for you to stay and you can shift yourself and be in that place, fine. Otherwise, take care of these littlest parts of you. Take care of your physical body as well. And what we find when we turn that thought around is that he should be yelling at me because he is. And that my pain comes from me yelling back, even if it's only in my head. Or maybe I'm screaming back in an engaged fight, but I'm still saying it's all him. So turning it around to the opposite is he should be yelling at me. He should be because of what he's believing. He should be because of his upbringing. He should be because he is. Turning it around to the other is, I shouldn't be yelling. I shouldn't be yelling at him. That's what closes my heart. I shouldn't be yelling at myself. How am I believing what he's saying about me and being hard on myself? So that's the shortcut. That's the short summary version of the work. And by, for example, using this step by step, someone should be paying me back. Is it true? That isn't fair. Can I absolutely know it's true? I need it to be this way. Who would I be right now without that thought? So you will start to see how this works, and don't think you need to get it all right now, but it's a game changer. All right, so we're gonna have a workshop where I get to take you through all of this and you learn how to do it yourself and even learn how to hold someone else in it when they're suffering. So hit the button below if you're interested, and I'll see you there. Take care.